welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into an important topic, the 7 boundaries women must set with their male friends to foster healthy and respectful relationships. Look, I've been doing this for a long time, and let me tell you, this is something people struggle with. Men, women, we all need boundaries to keep our relationships healthy. You gotta know what to give, what not to give, and what to expect in return. Understanding the dynamics of friendships between genders can be complex. Men and women, we process emotions differently, we communicate differently, and sometimes those wires get crossed. But with the right psychological insights, women can empower themselves and navigate these relationships with confidence. It's about understanding yourself, knowing what you want, and making that crystal clear to the people around you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content on relationships and personal growth. All right, let's talk about the first boundary communication styles. We all have different ways of communicating, but it's crucial to establish clear and respectful communication from the get-go. That means saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and not expecting folks to read between the lines.
Ladies, you know how it is. Sometimes you might hint at something, hoping your friend picks up on it. But let me tell you, men aren't always wired that way. They're often more direct. So be direct. Don't beat around the bush. If something's bothering you, address it head on.
Now, this doesn't mean being aggressive. It's about being assertive. There's a big difference. Assertiveness is about expressing your needs and opinions respectfully, without putting yourself down or putting the other person down. It's about finding that balance. Think about it like this. If you're not clear about your boundaries, how can you expect someone else to respect them? You're setting yourself up for misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and a whole lot of unnecessary drama. Remember, communication is a two-way street. It's not just about expressing yourself, but also about listening to the other person. Pay attention to their verbal and nonverbal cues. Are they engaged in the conversation? Are they being respectful of your time and boundaries?
If you feel like your friend isn't communicating effectively, don't be afraid to address it. Say something like, hey, I feel like we're not on the same page here. Can we talk about this more clearly?
Setting clear communication boundaries from the start will save you a lot of trouble down the line. It's about building a foundation of respect and understanding, which is essential for any healthy relationship. Let's talk about personal space. This is a big one, folks. Everyone needs their own space, their own time to recharge and be themselves. And that goes for friendships too, not just romantic relationships. Look, I get it. We're social creatures, we crave connection. But there's a fine line between being close and being all up in each other's business 24/7. You gotta give each other room to breathe. This is especially important when it comes to friendships between men and women.
Men, sometimes you might not even realize you're crossing a line. You're used to slapping each other on the back, giving a playful punch on the arm. But what's acceptable among your buddies might not fly with your female friends. Ladies, if a guy friend is constantly in your space, making you feel uncomfortable, you need to speak up. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need a little space right now. Or, I'm not really a hugger.
Now, some folks might be more touchy-feely than others, and that's okay. The key is to communicate your own boundaries and respect the other person's. If you know your friend is a hugger and you're not comfortable with that, let them know early on. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being rude or pushing people away. It's about protecting your own energy and well-being. Let's be real, folks. We all need a shoulder to cry on sometimes. But there's a difference between being there for a friend and being their emotional dumping ground 24/7. That's what this third boundary is all about. Emotional availability. Look, I'm all for being supportive and lending an ear, but you gotta protect your own emotional well-being. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly taking on other people's problems, you're gonna burn out.
This is especially important for women because, let's face it, society often conditions us to be caretakers. We're expected to be the ones who listen, who offer advice, who fix everyone's problems. But you know what? You're not a therapist, you're a friend, and you deserve to have your own emotional needs met too.
Now, this doesn't mean you can't be there for your friends when they're going through a tough time, but you get to set boundaries around how much you're willing to give. If a friend is constantly unloading their problems on you and it's starting to drain you, it's okay to say, "Hey, I hear you're going through a lot right now, and I want to be supportive, but I also need to take care of myself. Maybe we can talk about something else for a bit."
Remember, you're not responsible for fixing anyone else's problems. You can offer support, but ultimately it's up to them to take responsibility for their own lives. Let's talk about physical boundaries.
This one's pretty straightforward, folks.
Your body, your rules.
No one has the right to touch you without your consent, period.
This might seem obvious, but it's amazing how often these boundaries get blurred, especially in casual friendships.
A guy friend might think it's okay to put his arm around you, or touch your back, or give you a hug, but if it makes you uncomfortable, it's not okay.
Ladies, you need to be clear and assertive about what you're comfortable with.
Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, I'm not a hugger," or "Please don't touch me like that."
Now, some people are naturally more physically affectionate than others, and that's okay.
But it's important to remember that physical touch should always be consensual.
If someone is making you feel uncomfortable with their touch, you have every right to tell them to stop.
And let me be clear, this isn't just about overt sexual advances.
It's about any kind of touch that makes you feel uncomfortable, even if it seems innocent.
If a guy friend is constantly invading your personal space, or if his touch lingers too long, trust your gut.
Your body is sending you a signal for a reason.
Don't ignore it.
Let's talk about time management, folks. This is a big one because we all lead busy lives, and it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and forget to prioritize our own needs.
Look, friendships are important, I always say that. But they shouldn't consume your entire life. You gotta have time for yourself, time for your other relationships, time for your own pursuits.
This is where boundaries come in. You gotta learn to say no. You don't have to be available for every hangout, every phone call, every last-minute favor. It's okay to say, "Hey, I'm swamped this week, but maybe we can catch up next week."
Now, I know this can be tough, especially if you're a people pleaser. You don't want to disappoint anyone. You want everyone to like you. But here's the thing. You can't be everything to everyone. And trying to do so will only lead to burnout and resentment.
Remember, your time is precious. You get to choose how you spend it.
Let's talk about money, folks. It's a topic that can be uncomfortable to discuss, but it's crucial to establish financial boundaries in any relationship, including friendships.
Money problems can poison a friendship faster than you can say overdraft fee. Look, I get it. You want to be generous with your friends, you want to help them out when you can, but you also need to protect yourself. You work hard for your money and you shouldn't feel obligated to constantly bail out your friends or foot the bill every time you go out.
Now, this doesn't mean you can't ever lend money to a friend, but you need to be clear about your expectations. How much are you willing to lend? When do you expect to be repaid? What happens if they don't repay you?
It's also important to be mindful of any financial disparities between you and your friends. If you're always the one with more money, be sensitive to that. Don't suggest activities or restaurants that you know your friends can't afford. And if you do decide to treat them, don't make a big deal out of it.
Remember, money shouldn't be a source of tension or resentment in a friendship. By setting clear financial boundaries, you can avoid misunderstandings and protect both your wallet and your relationship. Let's talk about social media, folks. It's everywhere these days, and it's changing the way we interact with each other, including our friendships. So, it's more important than ever to establish boundaries in the digital realm. Now, social media can be a great way to stay connected with friends, share updates, and see what everyone's up to. But it can also be a breeding ground for misunderstandings, drama, and even harassment. One of the biggest things to be mindful of is what you post about other people. Just because someone is your friend in real life doesn't mean they want their entire lives plastered all over social media. Before you post a photo or story that includes someone else, ask for their consent. It's also important to be mindful of the comments you leave on other people's posts. What might seem like a harmless joke to you could be hurtful or offensive to someone else. And speaking of comments, if someone is constantly leaving inappropriate or unwanted comments on your posts, don't hesitate to block them. You have the right to control who interacts with you online. Remember, social media is a public platform, even if your account is private. Once you post something, it's out there for the world to see. So think before you post and be respectful of your friends' privacy. Thank you for watching. We hope these 7 boundaries help you foster healthier and more respectful friendships with your male friends. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being selfish or pushing people away. It's about protecting your own well-being and ensuring that your relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content on relationships and personal growth. We're here to help you navigate the complexities of life and build stronger, healthier relationships. See you in the next video.